Hello friends, welcome to GodlyTrio. Once upon a time in a faraway land, there were no kings to rule over the people. Everyone did what they thought was right, and guess what? It was a big mess. One day, a mean guy named Sisera came to the land with 900 chariots and a whole bunch of soldiers. He was looking for Gideon, a young man who had saved Israel from the oppression of another bad guy named Oreb. Sisera thought he could defeat Gideon and his army of 300 men because he had so many more soldiers. But little did he and everyone else know that Gideon was a hero chosen by God. As soon as Gideon heard about Sisera's plan to attack him, he called out to God for help. "Oh God, save your people Israel from the oppression of the Midianites and deliver them from the power of Sisera." Then God told Gideon, "You have three big problems to solve first. You can't beat an army as big as this with only 300 men. 2, your men aren't organized or trained. And 3, you don't have enough weapons or supplies. But don't worry, God will be with you." Now, the first thing Gideon had to do was get more men to fight in his army. So he gathered all the men in Israel and told them why they needed to fight against the enemy. At first, most of the men said, "Yeah, sure, let's go fight," because they didn't really understand what was at stake. But when Gideon told them, "Hey, this is a chance for you to show how brave and strong you are," all of them started saying, "No, no, 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 we're too scared. We don't want to go." Only 300 men stood up and said, "We will go with you, Gideon." And God said, "These are the ones I want. These men really want to be part of my army." Now, Gideon still had two more problems to solve, though. His men didn't have enough weapons and supplies, and they weren't organized or trained. But Gideon wasn't worried because God promised to help him. So Gideon took these 300 men to a river called the Jordan and made them cross it. As they were crossing, he told them, "Listen, if anyone crosses the river and drinks water from it, that's fine. If they also lick their hands or feet, that's okay, too. But if they use the water to wash their clothes, they're out of the group." Okay, and that's exactly what happened. One soldier even washed his whole body and all the dirt off with the water, and he got kicked out of the army. That's because God wanted the bravest and most dedicated soldiers who would do anything to protect themselves and their fellow Israelites. In the end, only 220 men remained. Then Gideon led his 220 men to the top of a nearby hill. From there, he could see Sisera's army camped out below them like an overwhelming wave crashing onto the shore. And that's when God spoke to Gideon again and said, "Listen up, you have a massive advantage here. You can easily beat Sisera and his army. All you need to do is attack and hit their equipment. Don't hold back." So Gideon and his army went down the hill and attacked Sisera's forces. They divided into groups and each man had a sword and a shield. The plan was simple. They would shout, "Sword to the tents, everyone kill the Midianites." Then they would attack and destroy everything in sight. Now, meanwhile, at the camp, when the soldiers heard Gideon's war cry, they panicked and ran away. Some tripped and fell, and others dropped their weapons and started running around in circles. There was total chaos everywhere, and it was exactly what God promised Gideon. It was super easy to win the battle. Gideon and his small army defeated Sisera's huge force without losing a single man. After the battle, the Israelites captured Sisera and took him to a cave. Gideon tied him up and made him stay there while he and his army feasted on the spoils of war, like food, supplies, and money. The Bible says they ate so much that year that there was plenty of food left over until the next harvest. And you can bet there were celebrations and lots of happy dancing. Now, after resting and refocusing, Gideon called for Sisera. He said, "Hey, tell me, who's the most powerful guy in your army?" And Sisera said, "It's me, of course. I'm the boss here." And Gideon replied, "Okay, then you should be able to break these chains holding you up." So Gideon gave Sisera a sword and asked him to break the chains. When Sisera couldn't, Gideon said, "Don't worry, I'll help you." So he cut some branches from a tree and helped Sheshua break the chains. And then Gideon asked him again, "Hey, who's the strongest guy in your army? Surely you're not going to say it's me, right?" And Sheshua said, "No way. It's definitely not me. It's my officer, Zeba, son of Diamond. He's the one who leads my troops into battle. He's a real tough guy." So Gideon went over to Zeba and asked him to break the chains. But he couldn't do it. So Gideon gave him a sword and some branches from that same tree to help him break the chains. And as soon as he touched the chains with the sword, they broke. Then Sheshua noticed something strange. The sword Gideon had given him was the same one that Deborah had used to defeat Jabin, king of Canaan, many years before. Sheshua realized that he and his army had been fighting against a true hero chosen by God. And to make matters worse, Zebo, the toughest guy in his army, was now a prisoner. Gideon was actually kind to Sheshua. He offered him food and drink and asked him questions about his life and his army. And Sheshua told him everything. He even confessed that he had planned to attack Israel because he had heard how much trouble they had been having without a king. He thought if he conquered them, he could become the new ruler and make everyone pay taxes to him. Well, after talking for a bit, Sheshua asked Gideon to let him go and promised never to bother Israel again. And Gideon agreed because he knew he had already won the battle. So Gideon took Sheshua to the edge of town and waved goodbye to him. But before he let him leave, he made Sheshua swear an oath on the God of Israel that he would never come back with an army to attack Israel again. And Sheshua swore that oath. Now, after Sisera left, Gideon continued to lead Israel for many years. During that time, they enjoyed peace and prosperity because they had a great leader who followed God's laws. And remember, they had no king to rule over them. People just did what they thought was right. But wait, there's more. After Gideon died, Israel went back to their old ways and started doing whatever they felt like. Once again, they had no king, so everyone was their own boss. And guess what? It was a big mess once again. Wow, what an amazing story about bravery, courage, and faith. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked the story, hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on any of our exciting videos.